Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting for May 14th, 2024. I would like to remind the members of the public in the gallery during a council meeting to adhere to the conduct set forth in the council procedural bylaw and displayed near the entrance of council chambers. I'll call the regular meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Starting with the land acknowledgement, Blackfalds Town Council acknowledges that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. Council's had a chance to review the agenda for tonight's meeting, and I believe we have one deletion.
Yes, we're requesting that item 6.8 be removed from the agenda. The request for decision, Blackfalds Crossing Sanitary Trunk.
Thank you. Moving out all the items below that up one. Council, anything to add or change? Right. Any member of council wish to exempt an item from the proposed consent agenda before the adoption of the regular agenda? Seeing no change or further exemptions, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the regular agenda for May 14th as amended. Councillor Svaab.
I'll move to adopt the regular agenda as amended.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is unanimous. And I'll ask for a motion to adopt the consent agenda for May 14th as presented. Councillor Coulter.
I move to adopt the consent agenda as amended, as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? And that passes unanimously. We do have a delegation this evening. I'll ask Director Morrison if he could. He'll be introducing the RCMP's new Staff Sergeant, Andrew Allan. Good evening.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our newest Staff Sergeant Andrew Allan, who was born in Toronto, however did most of his growing up in Victoria, BC. On completion of high school, he went on to the University of Victoria. Prior to the RCMP, Staff Sergeant Allan paid his way through university working for a local Victoria funeral home and doing security for various events and establishments in the Victoria nightlife. I'm sure he's got some stories. While the intention of the BA degree obtained from the university was to enter law school, several ride-alongs done with the local RCMP detachment altered his career choice. Upon the completion of university, Staff Sergeant Allan applied and was hired by the RCMP. Staff Sergeant Allan has 24 years of service with the RCMP and has worked in large urban cities in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, medium-sized cities such as Nanaimo, BC, and small communities such as Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. During this time, he has worked as a general duty officer, a police dog handler, a senior trainer, and the senior trainer for Canada for police dogs. He has also had the opportunity to be a member of 3 different emergency response teams. Staff Sergeant Allan has called this area of Alberta home since 2018. He has a 20-year-old son, Tavish, who is attending the University of Calgary. His spouse, Kelly, has 2 sons, aged 15 and 19, Aaron and Ethan. Kelly works at the Red Deer City Emergency Services headquarters. They have a rescue dog, Lou, that is a welcomed change from police dogs in their home, I can imagine. His hobbies are traveling, mountain hikes, and a passion for fitness, which keeps Staff Sergeant Allan preoccupied outside of the work environment. With that, I'll let you have a conversation with Staff Sergeant Allan if you wish, and I told him you'd be gentle.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great. It's great to see you again, Staff Sergeant. Satisfying that we gain another, well, it's been a few years since you've been in Alberta, but both someone from Ontario and BC, which, you know, we're getting a lot from either, but not somebody that's from both of those provinces. And I will say I'm just a little bit disappointed you didn't bring a dog, but I understand this is your night tonight and you wouldn't get any attention at all if you did. So,
Thank
so
you.
I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Your Worship, Council, for the warm invitation. Given that this is not quite completed day 2 of being at my detachment, there isn't too much background I can bring you as far as up-to-date stuff. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or any thing you want to pass on, both in the role specifically as detachment commander, just to listen to any concerns, or if there's any questions you'd like me to follow up on and get back to you. I had something similar today with Red Deer County, and really stress that it's a partnership and collaboration and trying to figure out what's the best approach for the citizens that we cover. So kind of an open book. You tell me how we want to proceed and we'll go that way.
Thank you. Open up to council if you have questions or comments. Councillor Coulter.
I just have a comment. Welcome to our cute little community.
Thank you very much.
I think, you know, we did have a great opportunity at a meet and greet. That's several weeks back, I think. But I think that was really candid, and I appreciated a lot of things you talked about. One of the things that was emphasized a lot was your approach and your priority in making public engagement something that's important to you and your officers. You know, maybe touch on that a little bit and how you anticipate engaging with the public and the communities.
I take it as a bit of a positive that I've taken a few years away from being frontline policing and moving simply to be a citizen for a little bit and working on a training side. It's given me a very good opportunity and some personal experience, both seeing how other people have gone through things and just as a normal citizen, everything when you're concerned about what your taxes are going to and the services you're receiving to how you're treated by either a police officer or something when you're calling for help. It's important that we give back a good perception to the public of what services we're providing and not simply relying on expectation. I know we can't change statistics. You can skew statistics sometimes. You can use them to your advantage, but a perception is a real thing. And if the public has a perception of being safe and cared for, that's just as important as any statistic we can give them. So I think if we take that kind of approach to how we go about things through consultation and involvement and simply explaining things really well, it's a good starting point. I think that covers off kind of where my approach would be as a detachment commander. It's that's the starting point. Yeah, we're the police. We have to keep people safe. We have to keep the community running. That's a priority, but we have to do it in a partnership with everyone.
Yeah, fantastic. Other questions? I know that, and another one that mentioned that I thought was going to be a great role was the fact that you're coming from a training background with the RCMP, which I think I made a comment during that was that I think that skill set is going to go a long way with helping develop officers.
I love the idea of getting new recruits from depot. It's a clean slate. I know it doesn't happen all the time, and sometimes we don't have those choices. But looking at the reg numbers of the members that are working in your community, it's phenomenal. They're young, they're eager, they have things they want to do and experience, and it's a great opportunity. From being senior trainer, it's apples and oranges, but I have had the experience of trying to juggle what different divisions need, what different commanding officers, what different municipalities require as far as their training and responses go, and try to filter that through a singular training site and then validation standards and try to meet them for every division that are slightly different across the country. I don't see that too different from all the different views and perspectives you would have in a community that involves different jurisdictions, but all coming together under one big detachment. So I do take it as a wonderful opportunity.
That's great. Well, I know that Blackfalds, for a lot of years, we've had, a very positive, proactive relationship with our RCMP detachment and commander. I would anticipate that that relationship will continue. I look forward to seeing you out and about in the community and on a regular basis at these council meetings. So
I understand it's huge shoes to fill. I've been to multiple detachments. I understand what detachment commanders could be like, and it's been a wealth of knowledge. Anything I've learned from the previous two that are still around to pass it on. You guys have a very good starting point here.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, I mean, both of our previous detachment commanders, one of them is with the town, and the other one is working in the region. So
That's right.
I think we're not losing that skill and that expertise. I think that you'll have ready access to that and a unique approach for the detachment moving forward. So it's gonna be a great opportunity to get to know you, and I would imagine that I hope anyways that you got a warm welcome at the detachment
Absolutely.
yesterday and part of today.
Yep.
Okay, well, wonderful, and we look forward to hearing from you again when you have a little bit more time on the ground here and be able to feed us some more statistics and results.
We'll make time as we need it. You let me know. Thank you.
Wonderful, thanks so much.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors.
Thank you. We have no public hearing this evening. Moving on to business items. Start with item 6.1, request for decision on the notice of motion that I brought forward on McKay Ranch Area Structure Plan.
On April 9th, at the regular meeting of council, a motion was put forward by council to give second reading to Bylaw 129924, McKay Ranch Area Structure Plan. This motion was defeated. At the same meeting, Bylaw 130324, McKay Ranch redistricting was given second reading as amended with the removal of Amendment 2.3, which was rezoning a parcel of land from commercial to residential medium density. Third and final reading was given to Bylaw 130324, and as such, the McKay Ranch redistricting bylaw was approved. As the area of concern from council, which was opposed to the approval of the McKay Ranch Area Structure Plan, was the proposed rezoning of the commercial local district to multifamily residential, which has now been removed from the ASP as a result of the change to Bylaw 130324. Council procedural bylaw states that once a subject matter has been voted on and that particular meeting is adjourned, it may not be raised again for 6 months from the date of the vote unless council is unanimous in raising the subject matter sooner. On April 23rd, Mayor Hoover put forward the following notice of motion: that council give unanimous approval to raise the matter of the McKay Ranch Area Structure Plan sooner than the 6-month time period outlined in Bylaw 128923. Administration is recommending that council approve the resolution outlined in Mayor Hoover's notice of motion for the following reasons. Number one, the main concern raised at the public hearing was around rezoning of the parcel of land from commercial to residential medium density, which has now been eliminated, and the developer has incurred significant costs with the fees required for these statutory amendments, along with the time put in by both the developer and planning services to update the area structure plan. There are no financial implications to approving the motion put forward by Mayor Hoover. Of note, however, is that administration does recommend that the area structure plan submission fee be waived when the item comes forward, as there would not be any substantive changes to the ASP, and as such, little administrative time to review the document. The administrative recommendation is that council consider the following motions, and they're there for council to review.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Pell.
Thank you. I do not have any questions or comments, but I absolutely am prepared to move. The council gives unanimous approval to raise the matter of McKay Ranch Area Structure Plan sooner than the 6-month time period outlined in Bylaw 1289.23, the council procedural bylaw.
Thank you. Debate or discussion?
Sorry, was it supposed to be one?
No. Sorry, I believe the motion was put forward by Mayor Hoover, so it would be that he moved it for this meeting.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
So I would
So-
be making the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. If there's any debate or discussion, so I guess with that, would you like to take the chair for that? Okay. So as such, I'll hand off just for the ability for anyone else to debate or the motion, I'll hand it off to Councillor Rappel.
Any questions before the motion's read? No. All right, Mayor Hoover?
Well, I would just comment that, seeing as there's no other debate or discussion, my intention here was to move this along faster than the process, not only because, our procedural bylaw would delay this by several months, 6 months, and add a substantial cost to the developer when in reality this developer is ready to go with only slight changes. So I would hope I will ask for support on this motion for the fact that that this is something that is ready to go. This developer is ready to start moving forward sooner than later on that. So
Wonderful, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or debate on the motion? Moving forward, I ask all in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Mayor Hoover, chair is yours.
thank you. We'll open up for the second motion since the first passed. Councillor Rappel.
Well, sure. I move a council waive the area structure plan submission fee when the McKay Ranch area structure plan is brought forth back to council for consideration.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? I call the question. All in favor? And that passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 6.2, request for decision on proposed Bill 20, Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment.
Okay, thank you. In the fall of 2023, the province conducted an online survey on a wide scope of issues related to the Local Authorities Election Act and the Municipal Government Act. On April 25th, 2024, Bill 20 was introduced. On May 2nd, the Minister of Municipal Affairs announced that the province would be introducing amendments to the bill to clarify aspects based on the concerns raised. Throughout this time period, Alberta Municipalities has been working on behalf of their members to analyze and report on the implications of Bill 20. Most recently, they hosted a webinar where they polled municipalities on the views of the bill. 76% of the members voted for Bill 20 to be rescinded. The overall concerns raised are summarized below. Increased divisiveness, prioritization of the interests of the province over the interests of municipalities, creation of tax inequities between individuals and corporations as it relates to donations to municipal candidates, power granted to the province to remove a councillor without clear criteria, taking away the autonomy of the residents that elect councils. Increased costs for elections by having to hand count election results as opposed to voting tabulators. Allow councillors to claim that they have perceived conflict of interest and avoid making politically charged decisions. Removes the decision-making authority from council to determine what studies are required for developments, fails to address the flaws of the recall system, fails to give municipalities the option to require candidates to file financial disclosures prior to election day, and other unforeseen consequences because of the short window of time and lack of full input from municipal governments. As of May 9th, the bill is still at second reading, with the spring legislative session scheduled to end on May 30th. Administration strongly recommends that Council for the Town of Blackfalds sends a letter to the Premier asking for Bill 20 to be rescinded and to request that an open and consultative process be established to update the Municipal Government Act and the Local Authorities Election Act. There are no financial implications to sending a letter to the Premier requesting that Bill 20 be rescinded. Alternatively, if Bill 20 were to be adopted in its current form, there would be increased costs, most certainly due to the elimination of the use of voting tabulators, potential by-elections due to the removal of council members, and other items that may not be identified at this time. And there's the recommendation is that council consider the following motion: that council also authorize the mayor to send a letter to the premier on behalf of the town of Blackfalds, recommending that the government of Alberta rescind Bill 20, the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act, due to extensive concerns raised by municipal leaders across Alberta, including Blackfalds Council, and that the government of Alberta engage municipal governments through a collaborative and trust-based consultation process to update the Local Authorities Election Act and the Municipal Government Act to assist municipal governments to effectively govern in the interests of their residents and deliver on the future needs of each community in Alberta.
Thank you. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Bell?
Thank you. I do just have one comment. When someone puts forward a motion, I would suggest that along with the premier, we also send copies to both the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Minister McIver, as well as our MLA, Jennifer Johnson.
Thank you. I agree. That was something I would have brought up as well. Anyone else? And further to that, I would also think, I don't know if this could be an amendment or an addition to this or a second motion, that the town drafts and does a media release with this same request. I think part of the discussion from Alberta municipalities is engaging with the media to get this information out. I know that there probably are a lot of people that are reading about this and seeing this, but to understand right from their own municipality that we have concerns about this bill. So I would suggest that we add that for anyone that.
Yeah, I
that's willing
think
to
a
make that
second motion to that
Second
effect would
motion.
be good. Thanks.
Okay. So that said, if there's no questions, we do have a recommended motion in front of us if someone is interested in moving that. Councillor Coulter.
Oh, that's a lot to read. I move the council authorizes the mayor to send a letter to the premier on behalf of the town of Blackfalds recommending that the government of Alberta rescinds Bill 20, the Municipal Affairs Status Amendment Act, due to this exclusive concerns raised by the municipality leaders across Alberta, including Blackfalds Council, and that the government of Alberta engage in, where did I?
Municipal.
I lost my line. I was at. I'm sorry. Engage in municipal government through and collaborate with trust-based consultation. I can't even talk tonight. Process the update of the Local Authorities Election Act and Multiple Government Act to administrate multiple government effective to effectively govern the interest of our residents and deliver the future needs of our community in Alberta. Along with that, we would like to ensure that there is a copy of the letter go to MLA Jennifer and Minister Guyver. Perfect.
Thank you. So maybe at the, would you be acceptable at that in the first line? So where it
I
is,
can add that.
send a letter to the premier, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and MLA Jennifer Johnson.
It's in there. Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
Any debate or discussion on that motion? I call the question. All in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. The second motion, Councillor Pell.
Certainly, yeah. I'd like to move that administration prepare a media release on this topic and on the letter that we are sending to the premier and the aforementioned parties.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 6.3, request for decision on bylaw 1308.24, Valley Ridge Area Structure Plan.
Thank you, Worship Council. So Jolene isn't here tonight, so I'll be presenting this on her behalf, as well as the second and third related bylaw. So Valley Ridge Area Structure Plan, the original Valley Ridge Estates Area Structure Plan, named the Blackfalds Malibu Area Structure Plan, was adopted by council in 2006. This is a plan to guide the future subdivision and development of the Valley Ridge Estates community located in the northwest area of Blackfalds. The amended ASP before council tonight proposes to address the remnant residential portion of the community in the north end, just adjacent to Vista Trail, as well as looking for moving the community and changing it from a low density residential to a higher density residential area to accommodate a future comprehensive townhouse development. Since the original area structure plan was brought forward back in 2006, there have been several amendments over the years, which include the realignment of Duncan Avenue and Womax Road, identification of the Abbey Center site, rezoning to residential areas, and the addition of commercial uses and multifamily sites, and the removal of previously identified social care place of worship site. When the developer came forward with the recent changes proposed to the ASP, we asked them to update the entire ASP with the previous changes as amendments. So a copy of the proposed area structure plan is included in attachment 2 with the proposed updates clearly shown in the track changes. Administration is very supportive of the proposed amendment to the Valley Ridge area structure plan for the following reasons. The proposed amendment to the area structure plan will increase the density to future residential for the remaining parcels. The subject area is already zoned for future residential, and the land has been proven to be able to accommodate future residential in the original governing area structure plan. There are no concerns about the subject lands being available to accommodate the proposed increased residential density. Increased density is a way to provide housing options for people, which we all strongly support, as well as it links to our 2024-26 midterm strategic plan that identifies providing a range of housing to meet the needs of residents as one of the top 6 priorities. Section 638.2 of the MGA requires all area structure plans to be consistent with the town's municipal development plan. The town's municipal development plan contains policy direction regarding offering a range of housing types and forms, and directs future residential uses in the area identified in map 2, future land use concept of the MDP. The proposed amendments are located in the area identified for future residential and meet the policy direction to offer a range of housing types and forms. Therefore, the proposed amendments are consistent with the municipal development plan. In the spirit of intent of public participation policy, Lacombe County and adjacent landowners for the lands in question were provided with pre-council consultation. The letters describing the proposed changes provided with a copy of the illustration or in attachment 3 of this report, and were given the opportunity to provide preliminary comments. All preliminary comments received are in attachment 4 and are summarized as follows. Expressed desire to have the properties developed in such a way that people have an opportunity to purchase the units, and concerns expressed about an increase in vehicle noise and speeding through the lane. So the first comment is actually a business requirement, and it's outside of the privy of what we're trying to do tonight. And then the concerns expressed about the increase in the vehicle noise and speeding through the lanes. The site in question actually won't be utilizing the lanes, so it'll be left up to the residents that are in the area. What we're asking tonight is that that council consider the following motions. That council give first reading to bylaw 1308-24, Valley Ridge Estates Area Structure Plan, and upon giving first reading to bylaw 1308-24, that a public hearing date be set for June 11th of this year at 7 p.m. in council chambers. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments? I know this is his first reading. We'll have an opportunity for, if this should pass, for public hearing. Now, one of the questions that came up for me is we're not seeing an actual design in this. So is it is it fair to say that the likelihood is that this will be a private parcel in the way it's designed? So where the private roads and parking, or will we see prior to this coming to us for second and third reading, will we see an actual design to understand how this traffic flow may be impacting the area?
Yeah, so it's actually two individual sort of developments. So the main development would be the construction of Vista Trail. And then the eastern portion of the parcel remaining would become a private development, similar to like the Willows or someplace like that, where there'd be private roads. Be about 74 units of condos on that side and blocks of 4 or 6. And then on the west side, there would be a similar sort of a private development for the future after the first development is built out. So yeah, the overall area that they're looking forward for phase 1 is 74 units, and that would be all private. And then the Vista Trail Road itself would ultimately be a road that would be gifted back to the town to be able to operate and own in the future.
So then the access roads into parking into this would, in the private development, would essentially be like a parking lot to an apartment complex potentially, and that's, but will that roadway be turned over to the municipality to address?
No, Your Worship, just the Vista Trail,
Just
the
Vista
main
Trail.
road that's
Thank
going
you.
north-south. There will be 2 accesses essentially on the east side of Vista Trail. 2 main accesses, and there'll be somewhat of a loop, but that'll all be privately owned.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Schwab?
I think
Oh, Councillor
for-
Dennis first?
Yeah.
I was wondering why you didn't change right away.
I was prepared to make a motion.
Oh, I have comments.
Oh, okay.
Leave your mic on.
Yeah. So my question is on the social care and places of worship site being removed. There's 6 churches in our community right now, I believe, and maybe there's others that want to come to our community. Where is there a place to be built for a place to worship in our community right now?
Yeah, Councillor Schwab. So this area, that place of worship was actually removed a long time ago. So it was almost a housekeeping amendment. I can't speak to other area structure plans, but I know there is, we always look at those requirements when area structure plans do come forward. But in this area, with the addition of the Abbey Center as well as the other road alignments, there isn't really much room, and the remaining parcel is clearly residential. So they're looking at building that as soon as possible. So that's where it was essentially a housekeeping amendment.
Any other comments, questions before Councillor Dennis puts forth a motion?
Thank you.
Councillor Pell.
Thank you. I do have one comment, and while it's related to, it's not directly associated with this area structure plan. So in the updated development concept area map, it shows that the intersection of Womax and Vista Trail, now that since it's been realigned when the Abbey Center was put in, is no longer part of the development concept. However, with increased, and not only this development, but also Aspen, with increased development and increased density in that area, do we have plans in place soon to discuss the Womax and Vista Trail intersection and potential improvements for safety and traffic?
Yeah, Councillor Pell. So maybe we can go off a little bit on a tangent with that. So we are planning on installing a rapid flashing pedestrian light at that intersection so that the kids can cross Vista Trail going east-west. Other than that, major improvements aren't anticipated until I believe this is 16,000 and a half population horizon, at which time I believe there would be signals going in there. There may be some other interim improvements we could make there, but that would be outside of our study purview at this time.
Okay. Would that be an item that would come forward in our traffic study, in a future traffic study?
Correct, yes.
well?
The
Okay.
traffic master plan that's currently in place from 2015 does have that information in there, but it doesn't go into the details of what we could do between those horizons.
Between those, okay. That answers
we-
my question.
But we do monitor the area, and we feel comfortable that the majority of that intersection is safe once we continue to improve and put those rapid flashing signals in there from a pedestrian point of view.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just an extra comment on Councillor Pell's safety of that corner. Since we have that little strip mall over there, that corner is harder to get out to turn left.
Oh, yeah.
And you have people coming out of that little strip mall, turning right, and then they switch over to the lane, the left lane. Like I've seen a car just about get thinking that it was going to be clear in their lane when they pulled out, but a quick lane change so they can turn and go down. Well, Max, like it, and once that place is full, it's going to be something that should be addressed pretty soon here.
Yeah, certainly be worth looking at some traffic calming at that point. So off topic a little bit, but worth mentioning. Any other comments, questions on this before we have the motion put forward? Seeing none, Councilor Dennis.
I recommend that council give first reading to bylaw 130824, Valley Ridge Estates Area Structure Plan.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? You're ready to vote? All in favor? And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Looking for a motion on public hearing. Councillor Schwab.
Upon giving first reading to bylaw 1308.24, that a public hearing date be set for June 11th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That also passes unanimously. Moving on to 6.4, request for decision on bylaw 1309.24 Valley Ridge Land Use Bylaw amendments.
Yeah, so similarly to the last memo, the land use bylaw will have to be amended with the revisions to allow this development to move forward. So with the revisions, what they're looking at is rezoning it from R1M to R4, as well as removing a PF, public facility, unused lane that was originally brought in there as part of the single family residential medium lots. So what we're asking tonight is that council move forward with the first reading of land use bylaw and setting of a public hearing, I believe, for the same date and time. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Pell.
Thank you. Just one comment, and we did have a resident comment regarding properties for purchase, and it does say in the letter included here that these will be rentals. Rental accommodations are something that we are lacking in our community, and we're hearing that a lot from people that are trying to move here. So I do feel it's important that we offer a variety of housing types. So I'm excited to see this come in even as rental units. Thanks.
Thank you. And I couldn't agree more. I think it would be an anecdotal comment to say that probably the vast majority of properties in our community are owned. There's not a lot of options for rentals. And although some people may have the perception that it's better for the community to have everything owned, I don't know that that necessarily provides the variety and supports the needs for many people that would love to live and work in Blackfalds. I've heard that from many residents who've come here, that there just isn't places to rent or even affordable places to build. I think that this development actually goes a long way to address the affordability for many people that are struggling to meet those criteria. I talked to some acquaintances just recently, a couple, both of them working, not low income either, and they could not qualify for a mortgage in Blackfalds for the type of housing that's available here. So I think this will go a long way to giving options to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to come here. So I would support this. Any other comments, questions before we consider the motions, the recommended motions? Seeing none, do I have a mover? Councillor Schwab.
I'll move that council give first reading to bylaw 1309.24 to the redistrict part of Northwest 27, 39, 27 West 4th of the Meridian to residential high density district R4.
Good one. Okay, any debate or discussion on that motion? Call the question, all in favor? And that passes unanimously. Councillor Coulter.
I'm ready to move on the second motion upon giving first reading to bylaw 1309.24, the public hearing date to be set for June 11th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? And that's unanimous. 6.5, request for decision on proposed subdivision S-01-24 Valley Ridge, Phase 6.
Thank you, Worship Council. So this is essentially the proposed subdivision plan to develop 74 units on the east side of Vista Trail. So the landowners applied to subdivide out the parcel of undeveloped land immediately east of Vista Trail and the final portion of Vista Trail Link. So that's the roadway itself on the south side. These subdivision applications and tentative subdivision plan are included in attachment one of this report. The proposed subdivision is intended to accommodate a future residential development, which is envisioned in the original area structure plan and conforms with the proposed amendments to the area structure plan under consideration by council. The current R1M district describes a minimum parcel width of 12.5 meters or 41 feet and does not have a minimum parcel size. Therefore, the proposed subdivision meets the relevant requirements of the land use bylaw. This parcel is proposed to be redistricted to R4 district, but because the application was submitted while the parcel is designated R1M, the R1M district standards apply. Regardless, this application also meets the R4 district minimum parcel area of 0.5 hectares. With respect to the payment of the outstanding property taxes, this requirement is always reflected in the condition of subdivision approval to ensure that all property taxes are paid at the time of subdivision endorsement, which can be a year or more from the date of the conditional subdivision approval. The department is satisfied that the application meets the requirements set out in section 654-1, considerations of the subdivision authority. Considerations that the subdivision authority must consider when making a decision on subdivision application. These considerations pertinent to land suitability, availability of infrastructure, and environmental considerations are all well documented. The town's municipal development plan further reiterates the subdivision considerations in the MGA and the regulations in MDP policy 3-12, which the department feels is satisfactory for the application. What we're asking for, reserve dedication. The proposed subdivision does not require any reserve dedication because it's already been allocated through the Valley Ridge Estates community. And none of the lands in the subject parcel qualify for environmental reserve dedication. If everybody remembers, there'll actually be a park directly north of this 74 unit subdivision. We did send out subdivision notices and responses. We did receive a number of referrals back from local authorities and agencies. They're listed below. I won't go through them all. The financial implications are none at this time. And what we're asking for is that council consider the following motion. That council be designated subdivision authority, that council being the designated subdivision authority for the town of Blackfalds is satisfied that the proposed subdivision meets the relevant considerations and move to approve the subdivision of part Northwest 27, 39, 27 west of the 4th Meridian, subject to the following conditions. That pursuant to section 84 of the Land Titles Act, the subdivision as shown on the attached sketch is registered by plan of survey. That pursuant to section 654-1 1D of the MDP, or the Municipal Government Act, that all outstanding taxes are to be paid or some other arrangement be made satisfactory to the town of Blackfalds. That pursuant to section 655-1B of the MGA, that developer enters into a development agreement with the town concerning the services and development of the subdivision and payment of the offsite levies. And that pursuant to section 655-1 of the MGA, that the owner developer register utility easement right-of-ways as per the requirements of the town of Blackfalds and or utility companies concurrent with or prior to registering the subdivision plan of survey. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Yeah, I guess going back to what I was asking previously, I know that for many that may be taking an interest on this, it's hard to imagine. It's not as easy to imagine without a conceptual plan for this. But I think it's important to emphasize for the public. Oh, you do have. Okay, so will that be available for anyone that that wishes to see this prior to the public hearing, or if anybody's got concerns? Because I think we're always going to be getting concerns about parking in particular, and having a private development like this, essentially that deals with the parking issues from the municipality's perspective right up front.
Yeah, and we can definitely provide a sketch of that. But it is of note that the developer will meet all the parking requirements for those units. So as well as it'll be a private site, and then there'll be a full road there as well too. So the future area to the west will also meet the parking requirements set forth, but that's a conversation for another day.
Thank you. Councillor Coulter.
Thank you. I'm just sort of concerned in regards to the parking as well, especially with the new school going in over there and it being so close.
Yeah.
And like you say, I'm not sure how the parking will be dealt with within the private sector there. But I even know with driving around some of our streets now, it's hard to have somebody passing back and forth going two ways.
Yeah, for sure. So the majority of parking, just the way the subdivision or the way the development's laid out, people want to park in front of their own unit. So the majority of parking will be along the private development, and they do have the proper amount of parking stalls. They actually meet or exceed the land use bylaw the way it's sitting at now. And then, like I had indicated, Vista Trail won't have the same houses fronting onto it, so there'll be actually additional parking along Vista Trail. Vista Trail is also a pretty wide roadway, so I know there is some concerns with some of our local roadways and be able to get people in and out of there, but they do meet the design guidelines and requirements for City of Red Deer, as well as 90% of our communities around Central Alberta. So I know it kind of seems difficult at times, but it all seems to work pretty well.
Well, and my thought as well, along with that being a private development, as opposed to, this being a subdivision where each home is treated differently, and often we see that in a development where there'll be off-site parking, and the homeowner chooses not to use the off-site parking, or they'll use it for another purpose and then park on the street. Where this being rentals, they'll likely have more control over, what vehicles, how they can park within that development, what other use can be, can be given to those off-site parking spots that you can't enforce, a individual homeowner. So I think in that respect, it's probably going to be better controlled when it comes to parking than it would be if it was single owners in those properties. That's just anecdotal observation, but I know that anytime that I've had a rental, you get to use that parking spot. You can't park your RV there instead of your car and then park your car on the street. So I think in that respect, there'll be better control. Any other questions, comments before we look at the recommended motions? Seeing none, is anyone prepared to move? Starting with one of four. Just one motion? Okay, I just see lots of numbers there, so. Yeah, so anybody feel like reading that long motion? Councilor Schwab.
I'll do it. I move that council consider the following motion, that council, being the designated subdivision authority of the town of Blackfalds, is satisfied that the proposed subdivision meets the relevant considerations and move to approve the subdivision of part Northwest 27, 39, 27, West 4th of the meridian, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the pursuant to section 84 of the Land Titles Act, the subdivision as shown on the attached sketch is registered by plan of survey. Number two, that pursuant to section 654(1)(d) of the Municipal Government Act, all outstanding property taxes are to be paid or some other arrangement satisfactory to the town of Blackfalds for payment thereof be made. Number three, that pursuant to section 655(1)(b) of the Municipal Government Act, the developer enters into a development agreement with the town concerning the servicing and development of the subdivision and payment of off-site levies. Number four, that pursuant to section 655(1) of the Municipal Government Act, that the owner developer register utility easement right-of-way as per the requirements of the town of Blackfalds and or utility companies concurrent with or prior to registering the subdivision's plan of survey.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to 6.6, request for decision on the Intranet Project.
Thank you, Council. Before you, you have a request for a intranet project. So Marketing and Communications has made a 2024 goal to implement an intranet for the town staff. The benefits of this will increase communication, allow for document sharing, and assist onboarding of new staff who work outside or in various buildings. Implementing an intranet is a valuable initiative for enhancing communication, collaboration, and employee engagement within the organization. An intranet will guide employees to one centralized area where they can access the town's human resources policies and forms, health and safety policies and forms, document templates, training documents, guidelines, and more. The employee engagement survey that was completed earlier this year showed that staff felt that there was a lack of communication, encouragement, acknowledgement, and cohesiveness within the organization. The goal of an intranet is to bridge the gap within the town. The key benefits of an intranet are listed below. So increased employee productivity, insights into employee satisfaction, enhanced communication and collaboration, and it does help shape the town's culture. Marketing Communication is actively investigating several companies to determine the right company to supply the software that meets the town's needs. Under financial implications, a budget adjustment of $12,000 has been requested for this project, which will be included in the upcoming spring budget adjustment request for direction. The administration recommendation is that council consider the following motion, that council directs administration to implement a staff-wide intranet. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, we do have a motion, recommended motion. Councillor Dennis.
I move that council directs administration to implement the staff-wide intranet.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. 6.7, request for decision on the 2024 spring budget adjustments.
Excellent. Thanks, Council. So before you, you do have the 2024 spring budget adjustments. With the ever-changing environment, the economic conditions that affect the town of Blackfalds, operations and responsibilities, adjustments to the approved budgets are necessary. The 2024 operating budget and the 2024 capital plan or capital budget were approved by the council on the November 28th, 2023 meeting. Administration has since reviewed the 2024 budget and made the necessary changes to better reflect the current state of the town operations. Several adjustments have been identified for the operating budget. Some of them are listed in this document here. Administration is adjusting revenue for the increase of $88,000 in tax revenue based on new assessments, modifications to the budget based on the Alberta Education, and Lacombe Foundation requisitions based on provincial assessments. A few adjustments were made to and from reserves for special initiatives that had modifications to project scope since the project budget was approved. There's also several reallocations between departments to more accurate reporting, but there's no effect to the bottom line. The changes in the operating budget is net zero. The details of each change is outlined in Appendix A. For the 2024 capital budget, the current capital budget has minimal changes that better reflect the current market pricing for vehicle and machinery purchases, and they are listed there as well. In addition, an extra $20,000 for engineering consulting has been allocated for site selection and analysis for a permanent snow storage facility. So you do have two recommendations before you. The council considers the 2024 operating budget adjustments as presented, as well as the 2024 capital budget adjustments as presented. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Councillor Rappel?
Thank you. Through the chair to Director DeBesser. My question is just regarding the Wi-Fi access at Sterling. Will that be public Wi-Fi or for staff use?
Good question.
It would be available for events and for public, I guess, public events and staff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we do have two recommendations in front of us. Councillor Rappel?
Thank you. I move council move to approve the 2024 operating budget adjustments as presented.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? Councillor Coulter?
Yeah, I was.
Ready for the next one? Or were you first?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll do the next.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? It's just, sorry, everyone's not opposed. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. That's unanimous. And second motion, Councillor Coulter.
I move the council moves to approve the 2024 capital budget adjustments as presented.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. And moving on to 6.8, which is the Aspen Lake West School Site Capital Project revisions.
Thank you, Worship Council. So other than the amendments that were just made, we did bring forward this revision to the Aspen Lakes West School Site Capital Project just because it was such a large revision and we wanted to provide council with some good detail on it. So during the 2024 capital budget, $600,000 was originally allocated for development costs related to the new Catholic school site project. At the time, we anticipated that the developer for Aspen Lakes West area would be moving forward with another phase of residential development, along with providing the school site lands and associated roadways to access the school site. However, when we started looking into what the developer's plans were, they had indicated that due to economic conditions, they would not be moving forward with any development at this time. The Catholic school site construction schedule has been set by the province and the school board to have this site and associated roadway available by the end of 2024. January 2025 is the occupancy date. The town has supported this schedule, and our requirements under the MGA require us to provide a serviced, accessible school site. To meet this strict timeline, the town will need to front end these development costs and work to finalize a deferred development agreement with the current landowners and current developers of this area. We plan to recover these expenses related to the school lands when future residential development occurs in this area. So for instance, if there was a bulb that was going to be built and it was halfway along Vista Trail, that bulb would pay for those Vista Trail improvements at that time. The next bulb would pay for the next piece, and so on and so forth. As council is aware, we did complete the servicing plan and pre-design to help determine the scope of this capital project. Further, the developers contributed partially through the completion of the Aspen Lakes area structure plan, as well as costs relating to the planning of that amended document, and geotechnical engineering work related to the side slopes of Aspen Lake. The developers indicated that they want to work with the town to complete this project before the deadline to meet the start of the school construction timeframe of January 1st, 2025. The province will be tendering the construction of this school in July as part of a P3 package of approximately 7 other schools across Alberta. The request to increase the scope of the capital project extends beyond the school site. The proposed new scope will include the roadways, underground utilities, services, and stormwater management work needed to allow the neighborhood roadways and infrastructure to be constructed in time for the school. This trail will be extended approximately 300 meters north from its current limitation, and that will be the front of the school building. The remainder of the municipal lands will be on the east side of the school. Allard Crescent, the eastern roadway, will be extended to allow access and services to the back part of the school site. And finally, stormwater and underground piping, including all shallow utility services, will be installed along both roadways. The work included in the expanded scope was work that the developer planned to construct in the future when they require the roadway and underground servicing for residential growth. The town has confirmed that the developer is willing to repay the town these development-related expenses when future residential lot demand warrants the availability of new lots. In turn, they have agreed in principle to allow this work to be constructed on their lands and the land to be turned over to the town. However, negotiations are still ongoing with the details of fair cost sharing, which will be documented by way of that agreement. Based on the information received from the town's engineer when they did the servicing study as well as started the preliminary design, estimates the project work to be $3 million. This estimate will be further refined through detailed design work currently started. The construction of the school site is anticipated to commence in mid-June to meet the timeline of completion, it's actually not anticipated to commence in mid-June, but to commence in mid-July to meet the timing of the completion of January 1st, 2025. And then we do have some leeway in 2025 in the springtime before the second quarter to tidy up anything regarding to shallow utilities and the like. So what we're asking tonight is that council consider the following motions. The council increase the 2024 capital budget by $2.4 million for the Aspen Lakes West School Site Project, formerly called the Catholic School Services Project. And further, that council authorize the CAO to proceed with contract negotiations with the developer. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Pell.
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Warren. So as we just completed our spring adjustments, would this additional 2.4 million be coming from capital reserves?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Since it's a front-ending agreement, it's actually a loan receivable to the municipality.
Okay.
So technically we use our own cash, but it'll be on the balance sheet as a loan.
It'll still, okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
So my question was along that lines. I know I'm sure this is not the first time that Blackfalds, I don't know for sure, Blackfalds is front-ended infrastructure. I know that probably a lot of municipalities have. So in terms of recovering that through offsite levies, will that take into consideration borrowing costs that impact? Because I know that we would have taken other projects out of our capital reserves until this came along. So there's clearly going to, or I've assumed there's likely going to be borrowing costs to this.
Yeah, so we're still working out those details with the developer, but it's outside of offsite levies, right? So offsite levies pay for the underground piping upgrades that would be needed. So they would, or, you know, we would probably still pay those development levies or offsite levies or defer those offsite levies to future phases. But yeah, we are looking towards developing a fair and equitable agreement for deferred servicing through this next month here.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is obviously important, if not essential, to our community to move forward with this school site, and we don't get that many opportunities when it comes to provincial funding for something like this. So it's something we have to move forward. Councilor Pell.
Thank you. And then I just had one other question. In the notes, when it discusses landscaping, it just talks about parks and playground equipment, et cetera. Our agreement with the Catholic School Board, does it require a playground to be in place prior to the school opening, which I realize won't be January 1st, 2025, but 2027?
Yeah, so it actually doesn't.
Okay.
All it says is that the two parties are to negotiate on things like the school site as well. I don't know if Rick has any further information on the playground site, but I don't believe the playground site is part of the scope. The biggest thing we're looking at is whether or not we have to pay for the soccer field or whether that's going to be included with the P3 project.
Thank you.
I can answer that a little bit because the trustee at the last Catholic school meeting did indicate that there is a playground budgeted for in this project. So it's not entirely going to be the town responsible for that.
For sure. And I do recall them saying that. I'm just not sure if that was written into any sort of formal agreements anywhere. So,
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
More to come, I guess. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we do have two motions. Councilor Coulter.
I move that council increase the 2024 capital budget by 2.4 million for the Aspen Lake West School Site project, formerly called Catholic School Services Project.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. I can move the next one. The council authorized the CAO to proceed with contract negotiations with the developer. Oh, it's all. And if anyone has debate or discussion on that motion, I would need to pass that over. Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. It feels so much darker now. Okay. Moving on to 6.9. The request for decision, Town of Sylvan Lake, the 1913 Days Parade invitation.
Good evening, Mayor Hoover and Council. I'm here to present the parade invitation received from the Town of Sylvan Lake for the 1913 Days Parade. Annually, the Town of Sylvan Lake invites the mayor designate to attend and take part in the Sylvan Lake 1913 Days Parade, which typically occurs in June of each year. On April 17th, 2024, the town received the annual Town of Sylvan Lake 1913 Days Parade invitation from Mayor Hoover or designate to attend the parade on Saturday, June 15th, 2024. Unfortunately, this year, Sylvan Lake's 1913 Days Parade falls on the same day as Blackfalds Days Parade. And so the administrative recommendation is that council send regrets for the 1913 Days Parade invitation, extends best wishes to the Town of Sylvan Lake for a successful parade.
Thank you. Questions, comments? And so I think it's appropriate I'll make that motion that council sends regrets for the 1913 Days Parade invitation and extends best wishes to the Town of Sylvan Lake for a successful parade. I will call the question. All in favor? Thank you. That is yes.
Thank
And
you.
then moving on to 6.10, the Stettler Steel Wheel Stampede Parade invitation.
Thank you again. I'm here to present the parade invitation we received from the Stettler Steel Wheel Stampede Regional Board. Annually, the mayor designate is invited to attend and take part in the Stettler Steel Wheel Stampede Parade, which also typically occurs in June of each year. On April 22nd, Mayor Hoover received the annual Stettler Steel Wheel Stampede Parade invitation taking place on Saturday, June 8th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Financial implications: funds are allocated annually for the parade candy and the use of the town's golf cart float. The administrative recommendation is that council designates a dignitary to attend the Stettler Steel Wheel Stampede Parade.
Councilor Dennis.
We're in Calgary that day for the FCM.
Oh, that is correct.
So
That
it
makes
could
it
be a
easier.
similar motion.
Right. And I was just going to point out that I just actually at the beginning of our council meeting, I received an email from them that they're actually canceling their dignitary lunch. And I would suspect that it's because most of the dignitaries that would normally go to that parade are attending FCM this year. So
Sorry, that's
there's not even as much fun. And typically that would be a great event. Actually, that's Steel Wheels is one of the better networking events, but it is what it is this year. So I'll accept the motion that that we give regrets, I would suggest. So someone would like to make that motion? Councilor Dennis?
I'll make the motion same as the last one, except for exchange Stettler and Sylvan Lake in there.
and Steel Wheel, not the, yeah, she'll write that up. Okay, everyone understands. We're sending regrets to Stettler on that invitation. Thank you. I call the question, all in favor? That is unanimous.
Okay.
And then finally, 6.11, the request for decision on a proclamation for World Family Doctor Day on May 19th.
Thank you. So we received a request from the Alberta College of Family Physicians to proclaim May 19th, 2024 as World Family Doctor Day. 70% of healthcare provided in Alberta is done so by family doctors. World Family Doctor Day is a day to acknowledge the central role and contribution of family doctors in their patients' lives, says the Executive Director, Terry Potter. Now more than ever, we need to celebrate and recognize family doctors who have been, for the majority of Alberta's, there's constant healthcare provider in an ever-changing and overburdened system. The town has been invited to recognize the hard work and dedication of family physicians in our community. And the administrative recommendation is that council consider the following motion, that council move to proclaim May 19th, 2024 as World Family Doctor Day in Blackfalds.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Appel.
Thank you. I think this fits very well with our latest proclamation of proclaiming World Health Week, which is actually the week following this. And with that, I am happy to move the council proclaim May 19th, 2024 as World Family Doctor Day in Blackfalds.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? I call all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that ends our business items. And as Councillor Dennis has pointed out, I did fail to mention that Deputy Mayor Sands sent his regrets for this evening. He was unable to attend, so it was something I overlooked. Thank you for pointing that out. So that we do have no notice. We have no notice of motions this evening, but we do have confidential items. So this will end the public portion of the meeting. I will call a 5-minute recess at 8:12 and we'll come back and go to camera. Thank you.